right, welcome back to another episode of the CarterCast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. With me, as always, Connor. We're doing basketball today. NBA. We're doing the NBA pod today. We're back. We're back doing the NBA. It's January. College football's dead. No more college football. We'll be back with college football in August. I'm sure some random news will come out. Yeah, we'll probably talk about the Saban retiring thing on next week's episode and everything. But it's NBA time. It's NBA basketball season. Football's slowly getting in the rearview mirror. Yes, I love football, but Connor, we're basketball people.
Don't get me wrong, and this is going to be a hot take, unpopular opinion. I love football. I love the NFL. I love college football. I'm begging for it every single summer. But man, one of my favorite parts of the year is like trade deadline, heats up for the NBA. I love all the rumors, love all the basketball talk, and then conference tournament season in college, March Madness, right into the NBA playoffs. That's hard to beat. Like basketball, it's always been my thing. Like we started the show doing basketball. Our first few episodes were NBA that I was on. We're back. We're back to our bread and butter. This is what the CarterCast is all about. Sorry, Dylan. Maybe you'll get on one of these shows eventually. We'll have to see a college basketball blog tryout, but we're back. I'm excited to talk hoops.
Yeah, once the website gets uploaded next Monday, Martin Luther King Day, CarterCast.com should be back up. So stay tuned for that. But if you're listening, it'll be Friday. January 12th. We're recording right now, Thursday, January 11th at like 2:20 Eastern time. The NBA, I don't even know where to start. I guess we can start with the Celtics because they're the best team, and we can just dive right into it. We can talk about schedules and everything right that for the CarterCast later, but let's just dive right into this. The Celtics, they're 29-8. Last night, big win over the in Boston over the Timberwolves. We're blowing it here early on here. We're blowing it. We're blowing it early on.
Shaking the rust off on the basketball show.
I know. I got too much football in my mind. We got Belichick, Pete Carroll, Nick Saban all retiring at the same time. You're like, is there an Epstein list for all these football coaches? What's going on here? But no, it's basketball. Anyhow, Celtics beat the Timberwolves in overtime last night. Jason Tatum came up in the clutch. 2 great plays at the end in overtime. Absolutely killed it. That felt like a playoff game. Like randomly, throughout the regular season, it feels like once every 2 weeks or so, maybe once a week at best, we get a game where you're like, whoa, that felt like a real playoff game. That felt like an intense back and forth. People are playing 100%. And then, because most of the time, especially right now in January, like if you watch the Nuggets Jazz last night on ESPN, you're like, all right, the Jazz are going 95, 100%. The Nuggets were maybe going at 50%. Maybe.
Well, you saw the stat. The Nuggets had lost like 12-13 in Utah. That was clearly a game they didn't care. But yeah, the Boston game, it had that atmosphere. It did.
Yeah, it definitely did. And we're not going to sit here and break down individual games or anything. Yeah. But that game does give you the confidence. It's games like those in the regular season where you're like, oh, crap. This Celtics team, there's a reason they're the betting favorite. There's a reason they are the favorite. They probably have the best 5 in the NBA. I don't think it's even close, to be honest.
I completely agree. I mean, you're talking about 5-man lineups. I mentioned this to you a couple weeks ago even. The 5-man lineups with 300 or more minutes played together, this Celtics starting 5 is number 1 in net rating. Best in the league by far, by a healthy margin. And if you look at them 1 through 5 and then Al Horford off the bench even 1 through 6, there's not really a weak link. They have the offense, they have the playmaking, they have the defense, they have the glue guys as far as like Derek White, Drew Holiday, just constantly getting in opposing guards' grill on defense. You look at some of these past teams of greatness where it's like LeBron in Miami or even some of these Warriors teams where they had a weak link at the 5 spot. This Celtics team, there's no weak link. There's not. There's not something you can point to where it's like, that 5th guy, he's going to bone us in the playoffs. Like, can't really trust, Mike Miller might have a game here and there, or can we trust Festus Ezeli in a playoff series if you're the Warriors? Like, there's none of that with this Celtics team. That's why they're the most scary team in the East.
100%, because I think that, like, people were crapping on the Jaylen Brown contract. I was crapping on it. I still think it's a bad contract, but if you win one title, who gives a crap about the contract? All that matters is getting that one title, and he's playing out of his mind this season. He's been fantastic. I think I just don't see like you said, I don't see the weak spot in this team. Like you were like, oh, maybe they're gonna miss Robert Williams. Well, the matter of the fact is, he only played 40% of the games anyways and couldn't stay healthy. And when he was on the court, he was great. But I mean, if you're not gonna play, you're not gonna play. The fact that they've also remained relatively very healthy this season is pretty remarkable. Thinking about the guys of Porzingis, like Porzingis has been healthy. That's the
Right.
craziest part. Like, yeah, he's probably
that's the
missed what, like
difference.
eight games so far.
Yeah, he missed the game last night, but it hasn't been like a lingering thing.
Yeah, if Porzingis plays 65 games in the regular season, you're thrilled. You're
Right. And
you're probably going to win 60 games as this Celtics team is. And right now, as of today, January 11th, would you say the Celtics are going to win the NBA title?
I would. I think they're the most complete team. And you talk about this year's roster, it's really been addition by subtraction. You know, Marcus Smart, he was a great Celtic. He had a lot of good moments for them, Defensive Player of the Year. They get rid of him. That opens up into Drew Holiday, indirectly Porzingis with that whole trade. And you know what else it opens up? More Derek White minutes. Of guys that play at least 30 minutes per game, Derek White is number 1 in the NBA in net rating. And you know what? You feel it. It's not one of those stats where it's like, what the hell? Like, this can't be right. Every game he has an impact. It's an offensive rebound on a free throw to save a possession last night against the Timberwolves. It's a huge putback last year in the playoff series. It's just so many plays that he makes that is so underrated. And this team as a whole, number 2 in defensive rating behind, well, the Timberwolves. But last night, I don't know. It felt like a playoff atmosphere. And this Celtics team, it's hard not to say they're the best team in the league. And if you go back to 2017, when they first paired up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, this game last night was kind of the vision. Like, that is the dream. Where Brown has 35 and 11, Tatum has 45, making huge shots down the stretch. They don't turn the ball over that much. Only 2 turnovers from Jaylen Brown last night in 43 minutes played. This is the vision for this Celtics team. And now they have the supporting cast around him. And this is the last year for this duo where it's like, should we break up Tatum and Brown? This is the year where we really find out. Because if they can't win with this roster, then maybe it is time to kind of talk about moving on.
If they make the finals, though, you got to repeat. You got to bring it back.
I agree. And they're on the right track right now. I don't think that's going to be a question. But remember last year, everybody was like, the Celtics shouldn't re-sign Jaylen Brown to this huge deal. Is this Brown and Tatum pairing legit? With this team around them, it is.
Let me paint you this scenario then. I'm just going to name a team, and you tell me if the Celtics beat them in a 7-game series.
Okay.
Bucks.
Yes. Do not trust their defense.
Anybody else in the East?
No, I do not see a team in the East challenging these Celtics. Not even the zombie Heat, as people like to refer to them last year. It's not going to be enough this year. The Celtics are a completely revamped roster from last year.
Clippers.
No, I can't get there yet. I think the Clippers have been great lately. Can't get there.
Yeah, I think Celtics whoop the Clippers in a 7-game series. Lakers.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Celtics might sweep if the Lakers played, especially right now.
Agree.
I mean, June things would change, but right now, I mean, Celtics. Yeah, I think they would sweep them, and I still think they will come June if they ended up in the finals together.
Yeah.
The only team you really see competing with the Celtics are the Nuggets.
Yeah, and that's so not even the Thunder. I think they're probably a year or two away, right?
No, Thunder are not making the finals.
Yeah, I agree with the Nuggets just because what we saw in the playoffs last year, you can never count Jokic out. But I think the Celtics team is much better equipped to play them than in years past because you talked about it. Rob Williams, you know, the injury risk, he was playing 40% of the games. If they played the Nuggets in another series this year, I'm trusting Horford and Porzingis to at least try to slow Jokic down. You're never going to stop him. You're never going to make him have an off night. Like, his off night is going to be 25, 10, and 8. But at least make it difficult for him to set everything up on offense. I think they have the tools on the wing to shut down Murray, shut down Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. They're just really well equipped for a 7-game series against any team in the league, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I would take the Nuggets over the Celtics still.
I think I'm going Boston this year. I mean, and, you know, I'm basing that off the Nuggets regular season where they've been coasting, but still, I am high on the Celtics team right now.
I think it's Celtics Nuggets in the finals.
And that would be an awesome series.
Like, genuinely think about this right now. Like, if you think about the NFL playoffs right now, it's pretty hard to convince yourself out of anything outside of Niners, maybe Niners Ravens or Niners Bills. Like,
yeah,
it seems like it's just like that. It seems like it's Nuggets Celtics or Nuggets maybe Bucks.
Yeah, I think so. But especially in the East, like this, I feel like the Celtics are head and shoulders above every team in the East right now.
I think the Nuggets are too. I don't think we've seen this Nuggets team play 80% this season once.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Like did you watch, like, if you watch the Warriors game, that TNT one where Jokic hits the buzzer beater, they didn't even give a crap about that game. They're like, all right, last 4 minutes, let's turn it on, let's try and win this game.
Yeah, like, oh, we're still in it, so now we'll turn it on. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy, but back to the Celtics. Yeah, I think they're unbelievable. I think the biggest difference this year, too, is we're seeing a super aggressive Tatum. I'm sure the stats back it up, too. He's rebounding at a higher rate. He's probably, I don't know about his free throw differences from last year to this year, but when you watch the game and you're watching it, night to night, you can just see there's a different fire in him this season, as like cliche as that is to say.
Yeah, he's averaging 8.5 boards a game, and he's playing that 4 position pretty consistently with this lineup they have. The other thing about the Celtics, and Tatum is a big contributor to this, they play like modern basketball. As stupid and cheesy as it is, they're first in the league in 3-point attempts and first in 3-point makes. They run and gun, they get the ball up the court, they hit their threes. And you look at a team like the Lakers, I think they're 30th, dead last in 3-pointers attempted, and they're not good this year. So, I don't know.
No, they're not. We'll get to the Lakers later. Talking about the team the Celtics beat last night, let's talk about the Timberwolves. They're number 1 in the West. Number 1 in the West. We did say, we're like, hey, watch out. Like, this feels like a regular season team. Genuinely, let me ask you this. Do you see a world where the Timberwolves find themselves in the finals?
No, I don't. And you know what I want to compare this to? The 60-win Atlanta Hawks from the days of LeBron just absolutely torching them. I think they're a little bit better than that because defense travels in the playoffs, but it kind of feels a little like 2 playoff series wins.
It feels a little more when the Jazz were first in the West.
Well, they have Mr. Regular Season, Rudy Gobert, on both those teams. There's your common denominator.
Yeah, because, like, dude, I feel like people are, Timberwolves fans, if they saw this, they'd be like, oh, you guys haven't watched the Timberwolves. I've watched the Timberwolves. You guys are killing it. They're balling. Great defense. Anthony Edwards is that guy. Maybe it's just the name, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, I mean, I know that's like a cheap answer and just being like, but if I close my eyes, I don't see this team winning the title. Like, we saw, like, you just have to compare it to these other teams in the league. I don't see them beating the Nuggets. Let's really put this down. Clippers Timberwolves would be a great series. Everyone's healthy. I bet the Clippers were probably favored in Vegas.
Well, I trust the Clippers more. They have more dudes that come through at the end of games. Anthony Edwards is awesome. He's the number 1 guy on this team. He's going to be a top 5 player in the league. But he still has those nights where he's like 2 for 9 or 4 for 14, and he has 7 or 9 points. Now, there are games he has 40, and he takes over games, but he does have those off nights. And in a playoff series, if you have 2 of those off nights, you're screwing your team when you're the best player. So I don't trust the Wolves in a series like that.
You mentioned this question. I have it right here on the old Google Doc, saying looking back at the Gobert trade, would you do it again kind of thing. Let me get the exact phrasing here. So saying, are they a legit contender and should we revisit the Gobert trade? I still think it's the worst trade in NBA history.
They gave up a lot. That still to this day, even with them, the defensive rating, number 1 in the West, they still gave up too much for Rudy Gobert. That's bottom line. That will never change. But it doesn't look as horrible as the worst trade in NBA history anymore, right?
I think it does, because the thing is, let's get the second. None of this matters right now. They could finish 69 wins this season, 69 and 13. They only lose 2 games the rest of the season. They are balling. They're playing out of their minds. And then they have to play a team like the Lakers or the Warriors in the first round. And they could very easily lose to an 8 seed in the West.
Yeah.
Very easily could lose.
So that's how you're measuring this trade success, is what they do in the playoffs. I guess that's all that really matters.
I think that's all that matters. Well, you got to make it to the Western Conference Finals, especially for that kind of trade. I think that's how a trade of that magnitude has to be measured by. I think like how the Suns are when they traded for Kevin Durant. That's what those trades have to be shown as. I mean, if he gets hurt, that's totally different. But if he's healthy and he's playing, the difference is in a 7-game series, we've seen it time and time again, and I say this all the time in the NBA. I don't know why we deviate from what we know. In a 7-game series, they're going to attack Gobert. They're going to figure out Gobert, get him into space, and get him switched onto a smaller guard and mess up that whole defense. And eventually, at the end of games, Gobert is going to be unplayable. And then you give up all this money, all this talent, or Walker Kessler, all these draft picks for a guy you can't play at the end of a playoff game. And I cannot get over that hump. Until I see it, I'm not going to believe in this Timberwolves team.
You know what? I think those are all fair points. I agree with them, especially the Gobert in the playoffs thing. But let's just let them have a small victory. Let's give them a little credit. They've turned it around since last year, because last year it looked like Towns and Gobert were not playable even in the regular season whenever they were both healthy. It was like, oh my God, this is really bad. Gobert this year, I mean, he's number one defensive rating of guys over 30 minutes a game, and he's number one in defensive win shares. He's probably going to be a top 3 candidate for Defensive Player of the Year again. I think he's won 3 already.
Go for it. You should be. He's dominated on defense. I have people who have a problem with Gobert winning Defensive Player of the Years and all this stuff. Like, during the regular season, he is that guy. Like, the defense is – this is the same thing that happened in Utah is, guys like Donovan Mitchell and other guys who were overrated defenders because of how good Rudy Gobert was during the regular season, where they can just lead the guy into the paint and lead him into Gobert, and Gobert can just swat his crap. Just lead him into Gobert.
Your talent, your cement feet closing out, and then let him drive right by him.
Exactly. You're playing Jimmer Fredette. You're playing fat guy at a Mormon church defense, where once the guy makes the first crossover move, you're going to swing and gamble at the reach, and then they're just going to drive into a bigger Gobert, and they're like, oh crap. And when you see that, you're going from Denver on a Monday night, and then you got to go play Minnesota on a back-to-back. You're not going to have time to prepare for that. But in a 7-game series, you do, and we've seen it.
Right. That was the last thing I wanted to bring up about this Wolves team is Gobert, probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year, and that's fine. Like you said, regular season award. 7-game series, teams have time to prep for it. Even if they have a good game 1 and game 2, teams will figure out how to beat him. That's just who he is as a player. When you have him in the middle, you're going to get regular season success. You're going to get lob threat. You're going to get defensive guy in the paint. But there's so much 5-out, iso ball, screen hunting. They hunt players every possession in a 7-game series in the playoffs. That's just who Gobert is. You can't trust him in those situations. We saw it every single season in Utah when they would underachieve in the playoffs. And, I want to give the Timberwolves the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, they looked awesome this year. But I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I will not trust them in most 7-game series, especially after round 1. Do I trust them to get to a conference finals? I don't know. Not against a team that knows how to screen hunt with experienced guys on the team like that.
Even if they get there's a chance Phoenix could be an 8 seed and get stuck, or a 7 seed and get stuck with the Timberwolves in the first round. You're going to bet against Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker against this T-Wolves team. But I do want to say this though, because I think this is very important. This is different than the Utah team that we're comparing the Gobert stuff to, because it was Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, and then it was Joe Ingles and Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
They have Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns are their 2 best players. Then it's Gobert, which is a big difference, and Anthony Edwards I think is better than Donovan Mitchell was. So I think that's a huge difference. I don't think that should be understated. I still don't believe in them though as much.
Well, and this year's Timberwolves team, Jaden McDaniels, he's better than any perimeter. He's better than any perimeter defender Utah had on those teams. I mean, Bogdanovich and Ingles, they weren't really locked down on that team. I think McDaniels is a top 3-and-D player in the league.
Yeah.
And then Naz Reid off the bench, they have a solid bench unit as well. Kyle Anderson, for as weird as he is, he actually is productive.
Yeah, I think you're more right comparing them to those Hawks teams.
That's what it feels like, because the Hawks were deep. I don't know.
Yeah, they had some talent, but not whoa talent. DeMar DeRozan. I think Anthony Edwards is better than not DeMar DeRozan. Why am I going DeMar DeRozan? I'm thinking of the Raptors teams. I mean, you could even compare them to the Raptors teams.
You could, where it's man, they just won 58 games, but as soon as LeBron comes to town, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. That's enough on the T-Wolves. This is the number 1 team we should have started the show with. This is the Golden State Warriors. Shams comes out and says everybody's on the trade. I don't know. Was that a real report from Shams?
Yeah, apparently everybody but Curry's. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody on the Warriors is apparently available for trade except for Curry.
Which is what it should be.
100%. I think we did this back in early of 22. I was like, Klay Thompson's done. Klay Thompson's done. He is bad. He is. Go ahead.
Let me counter that Klay Thompson point. I'm so glad you brought it up. Listen to these numbers on Klay Thompson. He's a step slower. He missed those 2 full years due to injury. He's a step slow right now. Since those 2 seasons he's missed, he has attempted 52%, 58%, and now this year 60% of his shots from 3-point range. He's not driving. He's not the Klay of old. And career low 3.4% of shots are 0 to 3 feet getting to the rim. So 60% of his shots are threes, and he's shooting a career low 38.5% from 3. What does that tell you? And you used to be able to trust Klay to guard the best wing player on the other team. He is a liability now. And as much as I love Klay Thompson, I've loved watching him play these last 10 years that I've been really into basketball. It's time for him to have a reduced role. I know the nostalgia, I know the core, I know the big three of him and Curry and Draymond, but he's a liability to this team. Maybe not as much as Andrew Wiggins, which we can also get into, but he's a step slow this year, and it's very, very noticeable. You can't mask it anymore.
Klay Thompson has just turned into J.J. Redick. That's what he is now.
Into who?
Into J.J. Redick.
Yeah.
He's Clippers J.J. Redick.
Like, can we hide him on defense? But we'll still run some plays for him. You can come off a screen. He'll have 1 or 2 games where he has 8 threes in a game. But, Redick at the end of his career, way more of a liability than it was worth almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just one of those guys now. Like, I don't think he's as bad as Kyle Korver, but, like, that's what he's turning into. We always knew this was going to happen with Klay Thompson. The injuries just expedited things.
Well, it's 2 major injuries. And with a guy like Klay, if you take away those injuries, his game probably would have aged like fine wine. He would have, kept shooting the ball at a high rate and kind of had like a steady decline. But those 2 major knee injuries, lower body injuries like that probably accelerated his drop off by like, I don't know, at least a couple of years. I mean, There's no way he would have been this bad this early without those injuries. And if you're the Warriors, you're sitting at 17-20 right now. You're 12th in the conference, blown out their last 2 games by the Raptors and the Pelicans. I mean, just embarrassing fashion on national television last night. What do you do? What's the move? Because you have to salvage these last few years of Steph Curry's prime. He's not going to leave. No, there's no trade Curry. Curry's leaving Golden State. None of that. What do you do to salvage it though? Because you cannot waste these last few years. Because he's still one of the most productive players in the league.
It's, I guess, trade everyone. I mean, I don't know what you can do. I mean, none of those draft picks turned out. None of them. You have
to look at your. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, just Kuminga, he's just a great value version of Aaron Gordon. He's just like a worse version of Magic Aaron Gordon. Then Moody, like, what is Moses Moody? What is he, like, really, what is he? Gary Payton can't stay healthy to save his life. Looney, what is Looney at this point? I mean, he's just there, it feels like, when you watch those games. I like Pajinski, or however you say his name. I like him a lot. I think he's great. Mm-hmm. But I actually think he should be on the untradeable list. But
I agree.
Every single other one of these players, get rid of them. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is really the difference in this team.
Yeah, Wiggins is unplayable. I mean, lowest PER of his career right now, lowest true shooting percentage, worst defensive and net ratings of guys that actually play on this team. He is literally unplayable in a lot of these games.
No, he's turned into. He literally won the day he won that title. He was like, "I'm done. Career's over. I made my money. I've done it. It's over." And you can see it on the court. I mean, it is pitiful to watch. It is very pitiful, which is so sad because he was so damn good in the finals.
Yeah, it was a great turnaround story. I want to get the TikTok camera out for this one, Carter, because I want to address the Warriors front office here. You've got 3, maybe 4 years of Steph Curry left where he's actually in his prime. He's actually producing at this high of a level, getting his own shots, just still that guy. What are you going to do? You got to decide right now. Are we going to just ride off into the sunset and Curry and Klay and Draymond, all those years of nostalgia, thank you for the championships. We're going to celebrate them every year and go 35-50 and, maybe we'll get in the play-in tournament, maybe not. But you know what? Let's just be proud of what we've done in the past. Or are you going to say, screw it? We've got to move forward with Curry. We've got to rebuild around him for one last title run. Clearly, Draymond, Klay, Looney, Wiggins, even Chris Paul. That is not the supporting cast that will win you a title with Steph Curry. It's not. It's not fair to Curry, where LeBron has AD, Tatum and Brown, Towns and Edwards, Jokic and Murray, all these great duos. Who does Curry have? You got to decide right now, are we going to ride off into the sunset and celebrate what we've done? Or are we going to make one more run at this thing and try to get another title before Steph Curry's career goes into the twilight? Because right now they're at a turning point, and they really have to decide. And you know what? Either way, they've earned the right to do whichever one they want. But if you're Curry, you got to be like, man, I love these guys, I love this team, but we got to do something now, or my career is going to end without any more title appearances.
The issue is that the Warriors have, what are you going to get for Draymond and Klay? Realistically, I mean, think of a player. Who could they get? Like, are you taking a big swing with Zion? Would the Pelicans even do that? Would the Pelicans take on Draymond and Klay for Zion? I don't even think they would. It's really, who could you even get? Like, are you talking to the Hornets and getting Hayward and Rozier in? Like, that's where we're kind of at with this.
I mean, I don't know exactly the assets the Warriors have as far as draft picks and stuff, but you got to be looking at swing guys like maybe a Siakam. I mean, maybe I don't think Zach LaVine would be a good fit, but it's something. It's better than what they have now. I just don't think they can be complacent and just be like okay with where they are.
Yeah, I think it's the Klay Thompson stuff is over. Draymond, I think he can be serviceable. I just think it's if he's up for it and he doesn't get
He's a
suspended.
head case.
Yeah. He's gonna be on the Lakers very soon. However this ends up, he'll end up being a Laker one way or another.
Yeah, him and Kyrie, right?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know. Last thing on the Warriors, I do think they will make a move. I think this is a franchise that are so used to winning and success. And yes, there's nostalgia there, but they haven't re-signed Klay yet. So I do think there'll be a move made at the deadline to try to improve this roster. And then this offseason has got to be, you really got to look in the mirror and be like, what can we do? Everybody's on the board except maybe, Curry and then maybe the rookie Podziemski. But you really got to look yourself in the mirror and decide which direction you're taking this franchise. Because right now, bottom of the West, 12th in the West, I don't foresee it getting any better. Maybe they sneak in the play-in tournament.
You know what's crazy? When you look at the NBA standings right now, this is kind of a different story or whatever. When you kind of look at the NBA standings right now, like it's almost flip-flopped with the teams that are at the top and bottom. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're
Especially
talking
the
about
West.
the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Clippers, are the Kings, the Pelicans are the 6 teams in playoff spots right now. And then we're talking about the Spurs, the Warriors, even the Grizzlies, or even the Blazers, the Lakers, the Suns. They're not in playoff spots. This is crazy.
You know what? Going off that point, you look at the 7th through the 15th seed in the West. Listen to this, and you tell me if 8 years ago, or 2016, 2014, this is what the playoffs were: Mavs, Suns, Lakers, Rockets, Jazz, Warriors, Grizzlies, Blazers, Spurs. Those are 9 teams. 8 of those teams were probably in the playoffs for 5 straight years. Like those were the top teams.
Yeah, it's like the Grizzlies and the Jazz would take turns not being in the playoffs.
Yeah, all those other teams like Spurs, Blazers with Lillard, Warriors, Grizzlies, the grit and grind Grizzlies, Lakers were always up there, Suns, Mavs with Dirk. Those were the teams.
The Thunder, I guess you could say, were in there too because
the
KD, Russ, and all them. But the Nuggets were never that good. The Clippers were never good. I mean, I guess they had the Chris Paul thing, but I always think about the Chris Paul Clippers. They were never going to win it. They were never going to win it.
I agree.
Never, which is so funny. That team was so talented, and you just knew they were never going to win it. But yeah,
Wolves were always bad.
I think that's enough on the Warriors. I want to ask this question though. We were talking about the standings and everything.
Yeah.
Right now, the Suns are 19-18, Lakers are 19-19, and the Warriors are 17-20. Out of those 3 teams, which one do you think makes that second half run of the season and ends up in that 4 or 5 spot in the playoffs?
I think it's the Lakers. I do. I don't think it's the Warriors. And, you could say the Suns. The big 3 hasn't played together that much. But my answer is the Los Angeles Lakers. You've got LeBron and AD healthy, playing all these games with these insane numbers right now. Something will be done. LeBron knows he's only got a couple years left.
I think the sneaky answer is none.
Really?
Do you see any of these teams getting to a 4 or 5 spot? Really?
No. I can see
either.
maybe one of them getting to a 6th seed and avoiding the play-in tournament, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like the Lakers or Suns can get to that 6th seed, but I see the Warriors finishing 10th. I see maybe the Lakers or Suns 7th, and then one of them gets to that 6th spot. I mean, one of these teams in the top 6 are going to fall off in the West.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe they're just healthy and they're playing well.
But can't you picture this? Suns, Warriors, play-in tournament, 7 versus 10, KD versus Curry. It's like a crazy play-in game.
Yeah, I like doing that. It was the Warriors Lakers one. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, the first year they did it was LeBron and Curry.
Yeah. It feels like it could be that again, which is so funny. It's so crazy. Let's talk about the Lakers for a second. They are awful to watch. They are so boring and gross to watch. They can't hit a 3-pointer. They don't have any legit shooters on this team, which is so ironic because that's literally what you put LeBron around.
Right. I feel like the last 10 years we've been talking about basketball with each other. It's been, hey, what LeBron teams are successful? The ones where you have washed up Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, and people that have to have the ball in their hands, or the teams that have shooters around him. Mike Miller, James Jones, Richard Jefferson, or Dellavedova, even just guys that can hit a
Rodney
shot.
Hoods.
Rodney Hood. Yeah, Corver was great with LeBron.
Yeah, it's just those kind of guys. They are terrible to watch. Like, I'll turn on a Lakers game, and after about 5 minutes, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's not entertaining to watch.
They're dead last in 3-pointers attempted per game. Dead last on a LeBron team. Like, that used to be like LeBron, 4 out, 1 in, LeBron, pick and roll, kick out for a 3. That has always been the formula. And the thing is, you can't even point to him or AD. Davis has missed 2 games all year. LeBron's missed 3. And they are both playing. LeBron's playing 35 minutes a game. AD's playing 36 minutes a game, which is a career high for him. They are producing. They are playing well. This is arguably the best stretch of Anthony Davis's career as far as health and production goes on a winning winning team. But this is arguably the best stretch of his career. And so these role guys, what do? Like, what's the trade here? D'Angelo Russell clearly is not going to be on this team in the future. Gabe Vincent has only played 1 or 2 games all year. He was supposed to be a big part. You can't really trust Austin Reeves every game anymore. What do? Rui's hurt. I mean, you got to play Vanderbilt more. I just don't see the answers on this Lakers roster currently. There's going to have to be a move made.
Yeah, I think it's Cam Reddish, Max Steele. No, it feels like they steal a Hornet, doesn't it? It feels like they steal a Hornet at the trade deadline.
Somehow, like, the Hornets are so bad and they blow it up, which they should, and then the Lakers get Rozier for like a bag of chips.
Yeah, or Hayward. Like, it's just, they're gonna get one of these buyout guys. It feels like,
or even Miles Bridges. If the Hornets want to move on from him, and LeBron has a history of making these guys better. Guys like that. Like, if Hayward goes to the Lakers, he will be relevant again, and he will be in that closing lineup.
Yeah, and he'll all of a sudden be healthy for some reason. Magically. And that's
why I was betting on them to, like, get above that play in line, because I feel like there is a move that's going to be made, and somehow they're going to get a good player for not a lot of assets in return. And that's how I feel about this team.
What about the Suns, though?
I don't know about the Suns. I feel like we've had too small of a sample size with their best players actually playing, because Beal was out, Durant's been out.
Connor, this is why we took their under. We knew this was going to happen. We knew it was going to be like, wow, we're getting a lot of Grayson Allen, even though he's played pretty well. He hasn't played bad.
Yeah.
He's had a couple big games. But we're getting a little too much Grayson Allen, and we need more of the big 3. They have morphed into the Clippers. This Suns organization has morphed into the Clippers. You got the new owner who's super stoked on this team, willing to do everything to win now. You got the stars. You got Beal. You got Booker. You got KD. But they're never going to play together. They never do it. And I feel like this is just going to be a thing for like 2 to 3 years. It's just going to be a thing for 2 to 3 years where, they've played 14 games together all season. Yay. Because how many games have they played together all season? What, maybe 8, 9?
Not even. No, I think it's been like 4 or 5.
Exactly. And we knew this going into this season. They don't. And I remember we posted a TikTok. I think we were saying that the Suns we were talking about the Suns win total under. And people were like, how do they not? The Suns are one of the deepest teams in the league. Buddy, have you watched them? Have you seen their bench? They're terrible. When they have to go to their bench.
On the season preview, I was praising them because of what they were able to get with the limited resources. When you have 3 max guys, you can only get so much. But you know what? I was happy with the pieces they got, contingent on if those big 3 stayed healthy. That is the whole thing. This roster is not good enough to survive if even one of them is out for an extended period of time. Because like you said, then you're getting 12 Grayson Allen shots. You're getting 20 Eric Gordon shots. You're getting Yuta Watanabe and Nasir Little and Metu closing the game and Bates Diop. You can't have that. And the number one question, it was always with the Clippers. And this year, you called it, the Suns have morphed into the old Clippers team. It's just what if? That is the number one question. What if Durant stays healthy? What if Booker, Beal, and Durant play an entire playoff series? Even the Brooklyn Nets team with Durant and Kyrie and Harden. It was constantly, what if? Well, if they can stay healthy. Well, if this breaks their way. Well, if Harden comes back. Like, that is always what it is with these teams. And we've seen it time and time again. You can't trust these teams that don't play together in the regular season to make a run in the playoffs. And that's where we're at with the Suns team.
I think that's spot on. Let me ask you this. Could you name the top 5 leaders in 3-point percentage in the league this season?
3-point percentage?
Yes.
Oh my God. No, I couldn't.
It is a wild list. Wild list.
As far as like people you wouldn't expect?
Yeah.
Is Isaiah Joe on there?
Nope.
Really?
Yep. I think there might be a minimum.
Read me the list.
Number 5, Aaron Nesmith, 45.6% from three.
That's absurd.
Number 4, Doug McDermott, 45.8% from three. Number 3, Grayson Allen, 47.2% from three.
He's been hitting
47%.
That's crazy.
Shout out Grayson Allen. Number 2, Kevin Durant, 47.4% from three.
Damn.
And then number 1, the league leader in three-point percentage right now. Do you want to take a guess?
What team? Or will that give it
Bucks.
away? Bucks? Oh, it's got to be Malik Beasley.
Malik Beasley at 47.7% from three. That's crazy.
That's
that's
an
wild
absurd
list.
list.
That is
really
a wild list. Oh, man. I mean, like, because whenever you see the field goal percentage, it always makes sense. It's the big men that get layups and whatever.
Right.
But, like, three-point percentage, it's still crazy to me. And those guys aren't taking crazy volume threes. Even KD's not taking a super high volume number of threes. But
they're still shooting them. It's not like they shoot like one a game.
yeah, I mean, and then you look at the points per game. I think it's very easy to name the top 5. You want to try?
It's Shea, Luka.
Do you want to go in order or just name the 5?
I just want to name the 5. It's got to be Shea, Luka, Embiid. Are those 3 right?
Yeah.
Shea, Luka, Embiid.
They're top 3.
Oh, who else is average?
1 is tied for 3rd, and then there's 5.
Fox?
Nope. Come on, you know this.
I'm Giannis.
Yep. He's tied for 3rd with Shea Gilgeous at 31.4. And then number 5.
Number 5? I don't know. I don't know
on.
number 5.
You know it.
This is hard. I don't know it. I'm
Kevin
playing
Durant.
Is it? See, I was gonna say Durant, but I didn't think he was. He 30?
29.6.
I didn't realize he was that high.
KD's balling.
What do you think about those rumors about him wanting out? I think you made your bed. You got to lie in it. If you're Kevin Durant at this point.
Yeah, we say that about James Harden, but James Harden still gets his way.
There's just imagine Ishbia trading all that for Durant, and then Durant just leaving him high and dry a year later. That would just be hilarious.
Have you met James Harden? This is what the NBA is now.
That might be the end of the player empowerment era, where it's like, well, sorry, we can't let you get what you want because look at Durant and Harden. Look what they did.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's just gonna be military owners now. Like, nope, you guys are staying for life.
David Tepper's wet dream.
Yeah, David Tepper's wet dream. I know. No, actually, David Tepper's wet dream is you leave 3 games in
and throw a drink on somebody.
Yeah, throw a drink.
I want to ask you this.
Hold up. I want to look at these stats real quick, see if there's any other interesting ones. Who do you think leads the league in minutes per game?
I already know what it is because I wrote it down. It's Van Fleet and Tyrese Maxey tied.
37.4. That's a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I was taking notes. I saw that.
What were you going to say?
Well, we talked about Durant, Harden, and I was thinking about, them together on Brooklyn and OKC. And then I was thinking of how far OKC's come. I want to talk about them. We've went this whole show without missing the Thunder, who are right now 25-11, second in the Western Conference. They're a legitimate contender. I don't know if I can envision them winning an NBA championship this year, but they're a team I'm scared to play in the playoffs. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I'd be scared. They are a little more legit than the Kings of last season.
I completely agree.
So they're a little more frisky. They're a lot better defensively than the Kings. They have a lot more length. They have better players. They're not quite there yet. The next year, they're going to have cap space. They have all these assets, and then they can really go in. I don't even know if they need to trade anybody or any pieces. I think just another year with the same people and just building chemistry, they'll just get better and better because they're so young.
Yeah,
they're 1 year away. Now, if you're a Thunder fan, all that matters this season is winning one playoff series. I think if you win one playoff series, that's a very successful season. You're in a great spot. Even if you get swept in the second round by the Nuggets or whoever, Lakers, I don't care. Even if you get swept in the second round. But if you win that one playoff series, you get Shea Gilgeous that experience of being the best player on a winning playoff team, winning that series. Just that little hump makes such a difference in just the mental space going into that next season. And that's when they're going to be primed to make that next step. I think they're 1 year away. I think you get that fun story. I don't think it's as crazy as remember the 2014 Warriors? Watch out for something. Next year, 2015, they're going to take off. Mm-hmm. But I think they're on that trajectory.
Yeah. There's a couple points I wanted to bring up on the Thunder. I think you're right about that. I think that was a fair comparison to the Kings of last year. But Shea's better than Fox. Like, there's a whole they're a step up from that.
I just think they're a more legitimate version of it. Like,
yeah. Well, this Thunder team. Go ahead.
I think like the Kings are like a Kia, and I think the Thunder are a Honda. They're very reliable. They're gonna last forever. They're gonna be around for the long haul. Like a Kia, it's fun. It's really nice for a few years, but then you're gonna have your problems. All of a sudden, your transmission's acting weird. But the Honda's gonna last you till you die.
Oh man, with the car comparisons. This team, Carter.
Go ahead.
They're fourth in offensive rating, seventh in defensive rating. Shea is a clear cut. I mean, how high are we going with Shea? Like, he's probably the best guard in the league. I don't know if you count Luka as a guard, but
can we talk about something? I know we always do this, and I apologize for doing this to people listening, but we have to.
Don't say it.
The Hornets traded Kobe Bryant and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, that happened.
I know. What stings worse? I think it's worse if you're a Clippers fan and you traded Shea for all this, but
because I don't even think most Hornets fans realize we had Shea Gilgeous and we drafted Miles Bridges.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a commonly known fact. But you know what? It's not shocking for a franchise like that to make a blunder like that. Not shocking in the slightest.
Anyhow, go on.
It does hurt, though. The question I wanted to ask you about the Thunder, do they go for it now? They have a treasure chest of assets. They have draft picks. They have pick swaps. They have young players. They have contracts to match just about any deal in the league. I know you said they need another year, and in a hypothetical NBA world, that would be great. Maybe have a year or two. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. What if Chet gets hurt? What if Shea isn't as good next year? Which I don't think this is going to happen, but what if? Like, don't you have to take advantage of what you have right now? I don't know what trade would make them a serious contender right now. I don't know if it's a Siakam or I've heard people say Jared Allen or whatever. Don't you go for it this year while everyone's healthy, while everyone's playing at this high level, because you're banking on being healthy again next year or the next year, and then who knows if the stars will ever align. My comparison to this in the NFL is the Bills. They were Josh Allen. They were high-powered offense. They were like, oh, my God, Allen's best quarterback in the league. They're going to win the Super Bowl next year, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, that window slammed shut because Burrow, top quarterback in the AFC behind Mahomes now. Bengals came in. The Stephon Diggs Allen thing hasn't worked out. McDermott's taken a step down. All of a sudden, just as fast as it started, the Bills window seems like it's closed. If you're the Thunder, don't you have to go for it now?
Okay, I do think you have to go for it now or next year. I think you still have that. I think the window's open for a year and a half to 2 years for them to really go for it, make that big trade. But I asked this earlier about Clay and Draymond. I think it's the opposite effect. I think it's who would you really want to give up on this Thunder team? I like everybody. I like Giddey. I like Chet. I mean, I wasn't Chet. I like Paolo more than Chet. But
oh, you like Giddey?
I do like Josh Giddey. I'm a big fan of his game.
Okay.
Off the court, I don't know. Shea Gilgeous, Jalen Williams. Like,
yeah.
This team is legit. You honestly, like, do you even need depth on this team? Like, I think the only thing you really want is, like, a veteran guy. You just need that veteran guy that's won a title before. I think that's all they really need. I don't want to give up any of those pieces at all.
Well, I don't think... See, when I say make a move, I don't mean trade somebody in their starting five. There's some weird minutes distribution with Josh Giddey this year. Ever since the whole incident, he's only playing like mid-20 minutes per game. Like, they do not play him a lot right now. You see a lot of Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, which is fine. I think they could get a valuable, serviceable piece, not necessarily a superstar, but for a few picks and maybe like an Ousmane Dieng or not Poku, but like one of those bench guys that they only play 10 minutes a game.
So you're saying like bring in like a Siakam?
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Like a Siakam. They don't need a number one option. Shea is a top 5 player in the league right now. Without a doubt, he is a number one option.
I'm not saying go for the number one option. I also think though the Thunder are going to have to pay a premium on whoever they get because people know like, hey, they know they're the rich guy in the room. Like you got to pay up. You're like the rich guy goes to dinner. Hey, you're buying dinner, buddy. Like I forgot my wallet. Like this is just what it is. They're going to have to pay that premium. It's just who are you going to bring in? That is there someone that you would bring in that you'd be willing to bench someone for? I guess you would say Josh Giddey. You'd be fine having him come off the bench or whatever. But realistically, outside of Pascal Siakam, like hear me out here. What about Draymond to the Thunder?
Shut up. I was literally about to say, do you kick the tires on Draymond Green? Carter, that was the next sentence to come out of my mouth. I don't think you do. I don't think you do for the Thunder. But it's worth mentioning. That was the next thing I was going to say.
Why not?
If you can get him, for 50 cents on the dollar, then sure. If you can get him for a first-round pick and a swap and like an Ousmane Dieng or something that, kind of just get the Warriors a little frisky, then I guess if the Warriors want to tear it down, they'll give him away for not full price. But he's kind of a head case. Do you trust him in that locker room to mess up this mojo? Because right now the Thunder are all playing for each other. They all know their role, and they're all comfortable with it. There's a world where Draymond comes in and just screws all that up.
Or there's a world where he just turns them into a championship team somehow. Like,
does he have that
veteran leadership?
I guess he has a couple years left.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the energy. I mean, he's got the what is it? Charisma,
dog?
I guess. Dog, yeah, I guess you could say dog. Like, he's got that still in him. He just feels like he is just plotting his move. He's like that dorky kid that just wants to play with the cool kids, and the cool kid is LeBron. He's like, please, I want to play with you so bad. Like, I'll do anything. And he'll just do these wildish things, like pick up poop with his hand just to play with LeBron. Like, I will do anything. I just want to play with you so bad, LeBron. Like,
and then LeBron's like
it's going.
And then LeBron's like, maybe next week, or I got you in a couple weeks, like for sure. And then it just never happens.
Dude, we'll hang out. Yeah, or it's like the hot girl. It's like, oh yeah, we'll totally hang out. And Draymond's like, let's go.
Yeah.
And LeBron's like,
he's telling all his friends.
Yeah, then LeBron's like, hey Kyrie, what's up?
Yeah. Then you get you see a screenshot from one of your friends is like, did you see she's talking to this guy? And it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
I
don't hate Draymond on the Thunder, but I do agree it could F up all their mojo.
Yeah, it's a risk that's worth taking. Maybe if you can find somebody that maybe is a little less of a head case, I've heard Jared Allen mentioned. I don't think Levine would be a good fit at all, but just one of those guys that, could come in and make a difference, but you're not looking for an actual top 15 player in the league. Like, they're not going to empty the treasure chest of assets at this point.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. That's all I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Let's do a quick roundup. We're going to just run through teams. We'll do Hornets minute. I'm going to set a timer, and we're going to get 60 seconds to talk about the Hornets. Once that timer's up, we have to stop because they suck enough. I don't think we get to do more than 60 seconds on this team. So
we'll do that right now.
I'm gonna run through the other teams first, and then we'll close with the Hornets.
All right, hit
the
me.
Bucks. Real quick on the Bucks.
Yep.
I don't think much has changed from our opinion either preseason or whenever we've discussed stuff throughout the year. I don't think anything's really changed. I worry about their defense. I like Lillard. I think the Lillard trade. I don't disagree with this Lillard trade. Like, look, the regular season looks great. It's 25-12.
Yep.
They really haven't had to go all out in these games, whatever. But I think come playoff time, I think Lillard gets hunted by the Celtics. I think it's inevitable. It's Celtics-Bucks in the conference finals. And I still like the Celtics there just because I don't like Lillard's defense. But honestly, if you're a Bucks fan right now, I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's not the world ending, but you're like, okay, it's all right.
Well, they had to make a move to keep Giannis happy, and this was the move. Get another superstar to come in, and they have sacrificed some defense. They're 21st in defensive rating, but their starting five is 4th in the league in net rating. Middleton's back from injury. He's playing 32 minutes a game in 8 of the last 9, so he's kind of getting back to full health. When he's been okay. He's been mediocre. Yeah. The one thing I wrote down about the Bucks before we move on, they're giving up 53.5 points per game in the paint per game this year. Their title year, 3 years ago, they only gave up 43 points per game in the paint. So I don't know if this new look Bucks, not really any paint defense, is going to win a championship. But yeah, Eastern Conference Finals appearance is probably the ceiling.
They're primed for a buyout guy, though, a big guy, rim running big that they could just bring in. Not JaVale McGee, but a JaVale McGee-like, something like that.
Yeah. And Malik Beasley's been pretty good for them. I mean, they've been okay.
Hey, leading the league in 3-point percentage.
Yeah.
He's slowly... Hold up. I have a take.
Oh, no.
I have to get off my chest. That just popped in my head.
Okay.
Is Grayson Allen the new Seth Curry?
Explain yourself.
I think I've explained myself throughout this, but I think Grayson Allen is the new Seth Curry because he's leading the league in 3-point percentage, but he's also a guy you don't necessarily want the ball in his hands at the end of games, but he's good enough to have on your team. You really want him on your team. You're like, he's awesome to have on your team, but you don't want to pay him 17, 18 million. You like him in that 10, 12 million range.
Yeah, it's like he's good in theory, but once he gets too many shots or too much usage, it's like, well, maybe we could go in a different direction.
But you're like, hey, Wednesday night against the Bulls, I really like Grayson Allen. I really like Seth Curry.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. And they're both Duke guys. Wow. You're just on
Yeah,
it.
who would have thought? Yeah. I wonder how
That
that
was
popped
great.
in my head. Sixers, real quick.
Yep.
Maxi's been awesome, and Embiid's obviously playing out of his freaking mind, almost averaging 35 a game. They're looking better without Harden. It's a little addition by subtraction that you said earlier.
Yeah, that was the number one bullet point I wrote down. Maxey leading the league in minutes per game, like we said, all-time high of player efficiency rating and an all-time high in usage rating for his career. And you know what that means? Ton of usage, but he's been more efficient in that role. I think it's insane the leap he's taken. I knew he'd be good without Harden. I knew he'd be unleashed, but I didn't think he'd be nearly this efficient. I thought it'd be like, here's 20 points a game on 8 for 20 shooting every single night. But he's a legit guy on the Sixers. And when Embiid sits, which he has a lot this year, Maxey is really putting on a show. He's had a couple 50-point games. I would have never expected this. And that Maxey Most Improved ticket sitting in my MGM account, I love it.
Sitting in mine too. Sitting in mine too. Got a unit on it. Got a unit to win 12, baby. Got a unit to win 12. I'm so excited about that.
Embiid's leading the league in player efficiency rating. He's been awesome this year, but he has been sitting out a decent amount. But you know what? We said that before the year. He won his MVP. Now he doesn't really give a crap about the regular season, and he's going to be healthy for the playoffs.
This is kind of the Embiid you want to see if you're a Sixers fan. This is where you're like, okay, like he's dominant, but he's picking his spots a lot more. It feels like.
Yeah, I completely agree because he's going to be well rested for the playoffs. It feels like every playoff run for the Sixers, there's something wrong with him. Whether it's an orbital fracture in his face or a knee problem or an ankle problem, there's always something with him. So if he plays 60 games this year and forfeits a chance for the MVP, so be it. But I'd rather have him ready for a playoff run. He won his last year.
Yeah, 100%. Let's quickly run through these teams. Pacers, I think the honeymoon period of the Pacers is kind of over now that Halliburton's out. I think we're going to see them come back down to earth. I think they end up in that 6-7 range in the play-in spot, kind of like where like the Brooklyn Nets found themselves for a while, where they're just like, we're hanging around there. It's fun.
It's like, you'll play at noon on opening day of the playoffs against the Raptors. Like, okay,
on Saturday.
Yeah,
they're in the Texans spot of the NBA. Exactly.
Yeah, the shaky spot.
Yeah, exactly. Knicks. Anything on the Knicks? I know they did that trade, but like, I don't feel any different about them.
I had one bullet. They're 5-0 since the OG Anunoby trade, and through the first 5 Anunoby games for the Knicks, they're first in defensive rating as a team, and Anunoby is first in the league in the last 5 games in player defensive rating. So you know what? They sacrificed some offense for some defense, and maybe they win a playoff series. But I'm not feeling like it's a game changer. Yeah,
we're gonna talk about the Cavs here in like 20 seconds, but. Why do Knicks fans want Donovan Mitchell so bad?
He would not pair well with Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry. It'd be cool to say, hey, we have Donovan Mitchell and he's averaging 28 a game, but him and Brunson in the backcourt is a defensive nightmare.
And also, we'll talk about the Cavs now. Donovan Mitchell's a sneaky cancer, in my opinion. I think he's the most underrated cancer in the NBA. We talk about, like, I think Cat was, like, in the running for a while. Obviously, that's died completely.
Ben Simmons.
James Harden, Ben Simmons, those guys. I think Donovan Mitchell's the new guy in the league where, like, dang, like, I feel like Carmelo should be the poster boy for it. Like, you're never actually going to win with Carmelo as your best player. And Donovan Mitchell, you'll get some national TV games.
Yep.
You can even get a 1 seed in your conference. Like, you can ball out. He can have a 60, 70 point night. But he's sneaky turned into a cancer.
Everybody cut him some slack his last few years in Utah when he wanted out, and they're like, you know what, he's right. They haven't built a team around him. Let's get him out of there. But now he's only been with the Cavs for less than 2 years, and it's like, hey, buddy, come on, you just got here. Let's calm down. Why are you in trade rumors already? I'm with you on that.
Heat. Only thing I have on the Heat, like, it's same old, nothing. Hami Jaquez, shout out Adam Stanko. Looks great. But
I agree.
The only thing I have on the Heat was, I thought it was hilarious, that report that came out that said the Heat delayed Eric Spoelstra's contract extension so he got to avoid it in the divorce. That was
until the divorce was finalized. And that is just A1. I mean, I'm sorry, Eric Spoelstra. I wasn't familiar with your game. Yeah,
dude, that is classic bros before hoes. Pat Riley, dude. Shout out Pat Riley. Like, that is an all-time like move. Guy move. Like, you're just like, dude, I got you, dog. Like,
that's Heat culture. That's what we come to expect from this organization. Eric Spoelstra's deal not being finalized till after the divorce, that is an A1 example of Heat culture. Put it on
that classic Miami right there, in the city itself too. Magic 21-16, they're obviously overperforming. They had that insanity run where it's just like, what the crap are the Magic good? Are they going to be a top 4 seed? No, things will come back down to earth. Wagner's going to be out a little bit. Paolo's going to have a crazy high usage rate in these next couple weeks. I don't see it for the Magic long term, but I think they make the play-in.
Yeah, they'll be a playing team. There's a chance they could get an 8 seed, if all the cards fall right. But Fultz is coming back from injury. Cole Anthony's been in and out of the lineup. They're a piece away from being competitive in the East. They're a frisky team though.
Yeah, 9 Bulls, 18-21. Blow it up, Bulls.
No.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'll let you go ahead.
Can I have a victory lap real quick? For my guy, Kobe White, 7th overall pick, late bloomer.
I like Kobe White out of the draft. I liked him a lot.
I just had a couple numbers. They're 13-7 since Levine went down in early or late November. So you know what? You're right. They should blow it up because when your quote unquote best player or highest paid player goes down and you instantly start playing better, there's your answer right there.
Yeah, Zach LaVine might be the poster boy for being a cancer on an NBA team.
Well, him and Donovan Mitchell are the same, where it's like you're not going to win with them as your best player. You just aren't. It's just not going to happen, and they'll never take a back seat.
Wait, we'll do it next episode. We'll do all cancer team because I think Brandon Ingram might be joining this team.
Oh, that's a good one. Wow, this is a good draft. Kobe White, last 20 games. So Levine, they're 13-7 since Levine went down. He's back a little bit now. Kobe White over the last 20, 38.5 minutes per game, 23 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, 47% from the field, 41% from 3. Those are insane numbers. I mean, those are like most improved. I don't know if he'll be an all-star this year because his usage is going to go down now that Levine and Vucevic are actually back. But what a turnaround for Kobe White's career. He was playing like 15 minutes a game last year. He was behind like Dosunmu from Illinois. He was behind Caruso. Javon Carter even was playing over him. Lonzo when he was healthy. What a turnaround. I mean, he's a bucket, dude. You can't even deny it. I just love to see it.
Nets, I don't care to talk about the Nets at all. They're boring. They're whatever. Hawks, disappointing. Very disappointing Hawks season. I thought Quinn Snyder would turn things around a little bit. Trae Young's kind of turning into like, all right, like, what are you, man? Like, what are we doing?
Is he on the team?
I think he might be on the team. I think we're just cooking this team perfectly. I think
we can just choose from the 6th through 11th seed in the East and make your team right there. I think DeJounte Murray probably gets traded too, though. That's probably the move they make.
Yeah. Raptors, the RJ Barrett comes in. Yay!
Quickly's cool. Quickly's a cool player. I mean, they're 3-3 since the trade. It just seems like they sacrificed some offense.
I did like Darko's comments. Calling out the NBA with the Lakers refs. I'm big time. That made me like Darko a lot. Also, F. Evan Turner. If anybody, if someone, if I were to go on social media and say, "Oh, that rant was ruined because of his accent," I would get crucified. Meanwhile, Evan Turner's like, "Sorry guys, all love." It's like the most half-assed apology. I would get crucified in the streets. I wouldn't get a job. And meanwhile, Evan Turner is just like, yeah, man, whatever. And people are like, oh, Evan Turner, it's okay, buddy. No. Yeah. Also, I loved his rant. I thought it was perfect. It was perfect because guess what? If you watch that game, the Raptors got boned.
I agree. I did watch the game. Now, they were fouling a lot more, but there were some very, very questionable calls. But I think we need more of that in the league. Now, I don't want people coming out every night and complaining about the refs and being like, oh, we got screwed and it wasn't our fault.
That's what it'll turn into.
Right. But I do like the well-timed rant. Like Van Fleet had a great one about the referee Ben Taylor last year. Funny enough, Raptors Ben Taylor again. I like that every now and then they'll come out and speak their mind. And I know Adam Silver doesn't want people criticizing the league and the refs, and it's not good for the league. But I do kind of like a well-timed rant every now and then. Just kind of puts things in perspective. It's like, oh yeah, like these guys do have feelings and emotions. They're not all robots at the podium.
And I don't like the theory that refs should have press conferences. People are like, oh, refs should go to press conferences. Because also, if you're a media member, you don't want to go to that either. You're just
like, nobody's going to it. But the only way you're ever going to is if it's like a national TV game and they had a huge call screw up. On a normal Wednesday night, Pistons Spurs, nobody's interviewing the refs.
Now, what I do like, hear this idea. Now, Instagram Live and the NBA don't have a good relationship. But how funny would it be if an NBA ref every 2 weeks had to go on Instagram Live?
Oh my God. They would quit their job. They would quit their job. That's it. I mean, that's just bottom line. And you know what? They are human and they do make mistakes, but there does have to be some accountability because even in the NFL, like this is out of control a little bit.
Yeah. Let's skip the Hornets real quick. I want to close with them. Wizards, Pistons, they suck. We knew that, but like, holy tits, they're bad. Like, they are awful.
They can't guard a park car. It is brutal.
The thing is, this year's draft class is awful. Like, I don't see one player in college basketball where I'm like, yeah, he's going to be awesome. Like, Kyle Filipowski's going to be he's going to be a lottery pick, probably a top 10 pick.
Was he really an NBA guy?
He's like a fifth, sixth guy. Like, he can be a guy that can come in and hit some shots, but like, I think he's just like an improved Kaminsky, maybe. Like,
yeah, it's nothing to write home about. Yeah,
no,
I agree. This draft class is pretty weak.
I hope he proves me wrong. But anyhow, moving on, like we already talked about the Kings a little bit. Like they're kind of same old from last year. You know, they're frisky, they're fun, they win games, you know, light the beam, whatever. Pelicans, Zion's looked a little better since that in-season tournament. They've kind of put it together a little bit.
Ever since Stephen A. called him fat and, you know, all this stuff was coming out about him and his weight and everything, he's been a little bit better. They've had some good wins, blew out the Warriors last night. Still don't know if I trust them to win a playoff series.
No, but I do want to see Zion in the playoffs, though. I just want to see that, because if the switch isn't flipped by then we're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Mavs, you know, whatever. Okay.
Luke is awesome. Luke is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if they finish top 5 in the West, he's a legitimate shot for MVP. And
let me ask. I was going to ask you this. Right now, who would you say is the MVP in the league?
Oh man, that's tough because Embiid is like up there, but he's not going to play enough games. I would say Luka.
Is it Tatum?
No, I don't. Not
you
yet.
Don't think? He's averaging almost 30, 5 and 9, and they're dominating right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but Luka's numbers are insane. If the Mavs are anywhere near the top 4 in the West, I think he gets it. And that's coming from somebody. My only MVP bets were Luka and Tatum. I have a lot of money on Tatum, but I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We already talked about the Suns, Lakers, Rockets. That honeymoon period died very quickly. It's like, oh my gosh, the Rockets are back. They're going to be good. They're finishing 13th in this conference, maybe 12th. I don't think they can.
I would say 12.
The Grizzlies are going to be bad.
Yeah, well, Ja's out, Marcus Smart's out now. But yeah, the Rockets, they were frisky for a while. It was fun, but the roster's not good enough.
Them and the Jazz are going to have a fraud off for that 10th seed in the play-in.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Because maybe Golden State too. They're going to be part of the fraud off.
Jazz 19 and 20. They just have the best home court advantage in the NBA. I firmly believe that, with altitude and people not wanting to play there. Because I live in Salt Lake City. I was here last night. The Nuggets came to town. It's pissing snow outside. It's like 10 degrees, and you're like, Wednesday night in Utah. Like, dude, I don't give an F.
Yeah,
like,
and they're so well coached too. Like, if they had like an actual good team, they would be really good.
They replaced Quinn Snyder with just a younger and better version.
Yeah, and Markkanen's awesome. You know, Jordan Clarkson's cool. It seems like this team's really bought in.
Shout out Markkanen.
Great cover last night. But it seems like this team's really bought in, and they're not good enough from a talent standpoint to really compete in the West. But they're fun to watch. They can upset any team on any given night.
Grizzlies, real quick, they're done for the season, basically, now that Ja's out. Was that sneaky the best thing to happen to the Grizzlies?
Maybe so. But they looked okay with Ja coming back, though.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is I think it's the best thing for them, because they weren't going to get above a 9 seed.
Yeah, that's probably true. Ja missing 25 games kind of, put them at a way disadvantage to start the year. So maybe you're right. This way they'll have an excuse to be bad.
And get a good draft pick, yeah. Blazers stink. They're awful to watch on League Pass.
Yep.
Scoot Henderson, same old. Like,
a little bit of a disappointment so far. I mean, they've got Brogdon and Rob Williams is hurt, but Brogdon will be traded soon. Jeremy Grant, he'll probably get up out of there once he's eligible to be traded. I can't believe they re-signed him. It's just a weird.
Do you see Rob Williams getting sent to like the Bucks at the trade deadline for some reason? Something like that.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good team. It'll definitely be a contender. And then he'll come back and haunt the Celtics. And then DeAndre Ayton's been out for like the last 10 games. He's been a weird fit in the Blazers. It's like the island of misfit toys in Portland. That's really what it is.
Yeah, they just took in everyone. They're just like an orphanage. They're like, come here, you not wanted people. Like,
yeah, play for us for 4 months and we'll get your trade value back up and we'll send you off to a good contender. We'll just be the stopgap in between.
It's like the Wizards and Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones is going to go to a contender and be awesome. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Spurs are terrible. Wemby's fun, I guess, but Wemby, I just don't think there's a plan with Wemby. Like, clearly this year they were just like, Wemby, go out and play. It's AAU ball in San Antonio right now. They're like, just play. There's no way they practice or prep for any of it. They're just like, go out and play. Just just get in rhythm, get your shots up, get reps in, and then
he's
next
on this
year
minutes restriction right now.
Yeah, like they're just like, yeah, get your reps in, but like don't get hurt. That's it.
Yeah, and he's on like a 20, 24-minute restriction right now, which is like, okay, whatever. It wouldn't shock me if they sat him in the last like 20 games of the year, because that's just what the Spurs do. He had an awesome triple-double last night or 2 nights ago in 20 minutes, and he's going to be just his length and wingspan is just insane. But man, they're really wasting this year. I mean, they could have been a little bit more competitive, I think. They didn't have to be 15th in the conference.
Yeah,
but
yeah, seriously.
Here we are.
But we called that. We called that.
One point I wanted to bring up before we hit the Hornets minute is about the league in a whole. I was looking at some of this research, and I'll make this quick. I was looking at pace. Really, when I was looking at the Pacers. This year, 2023-24, there's 12 teams with over a 100 pace rating. And a pace, for people that don't know, number of possessions a team gets per 48 minutes. It's basically how fast you play and like the pace of the game. It's exactly what it says. 12 teams this year over 100. You go back 10 years ago, 0. In 2013-14, 0 teams over 100 pace. And the first time a team was over 100 pace in the last, whatever, how many years, 2015-16, that 73-9 Warriors team, and then the Kings for some reason. But that was the first time we ever saw that. So I just thought that was interesting how much basketball has changed in the last 10 years. I mean, you look at points per game, defense being played almost non-existent. The three-point shot is so much more prevalent now. It was just shocking to me that there's that many teams above 100 pace this year. It's the normal now.
Yeah, I got on a YouTube rabbit hole the other night watching old NBA highlights, and I was watching it was like the entire fourth quarter of a Suns Spurs game from like
oh my God,
08, 09 or something like that, or like 06 maybe. And I was watching it, and I was like, man, this team was like revolutionary. This Suns team, they were the run and gun Suns, fly three-pointers. They were so slow. They were the fast team in the league. They were like this hit new thing in the league. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like looking at an iPhone 4.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's an iPod Nano or something.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
Yeah, well, it just seems like when we first started watching basketball when we were in middle school and, I don't even know, we were 13, 14. It just seems like teams...
I was 5.
Yeah, I started watching before that. But when I really started to understand, teams just like ran more sets. There was more plays, more actions. It was less like freelance ISO ball, less ball screens by the point guard. It was always like, oh, here's a big man. You come set a screen. Here's 2 people in the post. We'll go block to block. And now it's just like 5 out. It's just crazy how it's evolved. And I don't think it ever goes back, to be honest.
There will be some weird regression. It'll be a mix. It won't go fully back to that.
But I don't think we'll ever see like 2 7-footers playing together where it's like power forward and sitting on each block. It's like Ben Wallace or like Drummond and Greg Monroe or something like that whole.
You can't disappoint Roy Williams like that.
I know. That was his thing. We want Henson and Zeller down there. Baycott and Garrison Brooks, you guys are good together.
Isaiah Hicks, Kennedy Meeks, get under there, boys.
Mm-hmm. I just thought that point was interesting.
You ready for Hornets minute?
Yeah, we got to close with this. You knew it was coming.
Real quick, the Hornets are 8-27. We're going to do a minute timer and this is both of us combined. We only get a minute. I'll let you know when you're at 30 seconds. I'll let you start. 3, 2, 1.
I've never been more at peace this year than not watching Hornets games. It is so brutal. Their injury report every night is unbelievably long. Their entire starting lineup is on that injury report. Cody Martin played, 5 games, and he's already out. LaMelo's back on that ankle. Mark Williams, there's no update on his timetable for return. That injury report is so depressing every single night, and Rozier's taking 30 shots a game, which he has to. He's been awesome. Everybody else has been so disappointing, and I've never been more at peace with myself than not watching the team this year. I can't do it. I cannot sit down and watch a full game.
Yeah, I agree. 100% ditto to everything you said. Other thing is, like I said, it's a CVS receipt every night with the injury report. It's awful. They're terrible to watch. Steve Clifford's got to go. It's done. The Steve Clifford experience is over. Brandon Miller's fun to watch. I do like Brandon Miller a lot. LaMelo just has got to stay healthy, for crying out loud. I don't care what it takes. Please stay healthy. Hornets, they ruined all our futures. It sucks. It's really depressing. I can't stand watching Hornets games. And that's our minute.
At least they made the right call getting Brandon Miller over Scoot, because I really thought they did. Thank God they did.
Yeah, I know. And we could still be proven wrong on that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it looks like it right now. It's been 30 games. But, yeah, depressing to watch for sure.
Michael Carter-Williams, didn't he win Rookie of the Year?
He sure did. He sure did.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. But anyhow, all right, that's it from us. Great episode. Great episode. We'll be back. It's going to be NBA. We're going to do basketball every week now. Football's down to once a week. We'll do a recap once like Super Bowl and things really ramp up.
Yeah.
Conference championship weekend. We'll do brief recaps there. But that's it from us. Just make sure to subscribe at CarterCast on all social media, at Connor_Sparrow, at CarterBA, at CarterCast on everything once again. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, wherever you're listening. Subscribe, rate, review. Do what you got to do to help out. And then be tuned, stay tuned for college basketball stuff as well. CarterCast.com will be back live Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day is when the website will be back up. And we'll be back next week. And we'll see you next time. Bye.